UFC Fight Night, Della Maddalena versus Prates. That name always gets me every time. Della Maddalena. I gotta say it like 3 times in order to say it right. All right, so let's start. There's a lot of guys on this fight card that I do not know. I'm not even gonna be real. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm gonna be real. There's a few guys on this card that I just don't know. For example, Ben Johnston is fighting Wesley Schultz. I don't even know Ben Johnston. He's 5-1, which for me, 5-1 is kind of that's not a lot of fights to be in the UFC. So that must mean that he got it on Contender Series. Oh, no. So it says here, he's on a 1, 2, 3, 4 fight win streak right now. Coming out of, I'm not sure. That's why I don't like to do breakdowns on people who I don't know. But I do know Wesley Schultz, and that's the only reason why I'm even mentioning this fight, because Wesley and I trained together in Milwaukee, and Wes is a great wrestler. Wes, I believe, was a All-American champion in Wisconsin. And, he had a bad run-in his last fight. I do believe that Wes needs to work on his striking. That's one of the things that I feel Wes needs to improve on the most. Other than that, his grappling forte, he's got great wrestling, so he can do very well in this fight. I think if he can get this fight to the ground and do what he did on Contender Series, he got this fight won. Moving on, another guy, I've trained with so many guys on this card, it's crazy. Another guy that I used to train with on this card, Vince Morales versus Kobe Thickness. I feel like even saying his name, I should say pause after saying Kobe Thickness. Pause. But Vince Morales, great fighter, amazing character, very well-rounded. He has probably one of the nastiest Darce setups I've seen in a long time. He can Darce you from almost any position. So I think this is going to be a good fight for Vince. As long as he goes in there and, Vince has a tendency, and Vince is my guy, but he has a tendency of letting the fight get away from him. If you watch his fight in Ryzen, not once did he let that fight get away. He was kind of foot on the gas, pedal to the metal, in your face. And I think if he does that against Kobe, he will win this fight because his stand-up is very good. He's got great combinations. He's got amazing cardio. He's got great grappling. The only person that could beat Vince Morales is Vince Morales. So I'm hoping to see the very best Vince Morales in this fight. All right, Tai Tuivasa versus Sean Sheriff. So this is one of those fights where I'm like, okay, Tuivasa clearly needs a W. So this feels like a lob. You know what I mean? It's a toss-up. I mean, this guy is 4-2. He's only had 6 fights total. And both of his fights that he's had in the UFC were both L's. So Tuivasa got to get a win here. UFC is giving him a lob. So I do believe that he has a great chance of beating this guy. And Tuivasa started out really, really good. I think he was 1 fight away from a title shot. Had he beat Cyril Gane, he would have had a title shot. He's actually on a 6-fight skid. So I'm rooting for Tuivasa because I think he's an exciting fighter. I think he's got a lot of tools. He got, great striker. And I want to see him win. He's exciting. He gets the W, does a shoey. So yeah, I believe that Tuivasa is going to get the W in this fight. But you know how these things go. Heavyweight matchups can be a little tricky. It's, they can be lopsided back and forth. All right, next, a fight I really want to see on this card, because this is also my weight class, is Tim Elliott versus Steve Erceg. And most of y'all know my fight against Steve Erceg. Yo, I dropped this guy in round 1. Dropped him in round 2. Obviously, it was a fight that I took in 10 days notice. So my cardio, faded in round 3. So I gave him round 3. But how do I drop somebody in round 1 and in round 2 and the judges still ended up giving to him split decision to make it make sense? Anyways, I'm sorry. I actually want Steve Erceg to win. I do. Tim Tim Elliott's a good fighter, you know what I mean? But he's been in the UFC for a long time. I was actually very impressed with his last fight against Kai Asakura. He submitted Kai, which I thought was very impressive. Tim is 39 years old, and I truly believe that Usyk is going to get the W in this fight. Usyk has, great boxing. He's got good grappling. Obviously, I feel like Tim is probably the better of the two in the grappling department, but not by much, by a hair. But I think Usyk for sure is the better striker in this fight. So yeah, I think Usyk is going to get the job done and get Tim up out of there for sure. All right, let's do Beneil Dariush versus Salkilled. Man, yo, this kid right here, this dude right here, everybody's been talking about this dude, man. Salkilled, I still can't pronounce his last name, but everybody's been talking about him. His last fight against Malarkey was amazing. I think he subbed him in round 1. He's been running through everybody. I think the last time he lost, he lost his first fight, and then ever since then, he's been on a 10-fight win streak. Incredible. And what better guy to really test yourself against than Beneil Dariush? I've always been a Dariush fan, man. I love Beneil Dariush, and I'm sorry, I got to go with Beneil Dariush. He's a fan favorite, just one of the nicest guys ever. If you ever meet Beneil Dariush, he doesn't have a hateful bone in his body. Just a genuine dude, humble soul, Christian. I love that guy. He's a super solid dude. So I'm going to go with Beneil. I think Beneil, obviously, in my opinion, I think he has the better wrestling. Obviously, I don't know that he has the better striking, but wrestling, I do feel he has the better of. So I'm going to go Beneil Dariush in this matchup. Jack Della Maddalena versus Carlos Prates. This is such an interesting fight because both guys are going to be standing and banging, man, which I cannot wait for because I hate it when you got one striker and then one dynamic wrestler. And so the wrestler is going to try to wrestle the dude for 5 rounds. In this fight, it's about to be a banger. You know what I mean? It really is. And Carlos Prates, man, that dude is so stupid accurate. It's crazy. In Australia, I'm going to call it Carlos Prates KOs Della Maddalena. Call me crazy, but that's what I'm going with. That's my picks. UFC Fight Night, Della Maddalena versus Prates. Out.